Watch this. Now everyone can hear the sound.
Now everybody can hear the sound.
Yes. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Now we have sound.
See, there we go. So, by the way, pro tip that Pandemona told me, the GoPro itself has to be recording in order for the sound to come through. Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
thank you for the reminder, everybody. Okay, so here's what we got. We got Tim Ferriss, New York Times #1 best-selling books, at a dinner with a bunch of, kind of fancy internet people recently. Now everyone can hear the sound. Thank you for the reminder, everybody. Okay, so here's what we got. We got Tim Ferriss in Los Angeles. A lot of you don't know, but I'm not actually based in San Francisco. I'm an LA guy about half the time now. And I'm in the mountains the rest of the time. But Tim in Los Angeles is it's unique. It's a treat.
It's a Yeti spotting.
So he and I are about to go interview each other on stage at the Upfront, did you say Summit?
I might be making that up, but I think it's Summit.
The Upfront, #Upfront something. And so we're supposed to be prepping for that interview now. But what better way to prep for an interview than letting you guys interview us instead? And then we'll take what we're doing on stage and we'll make it feel really fresh.
Perfect.
Okay, good. All right, that's how we roll. So Tim, so what you've got over there is you're looking at questions that people asked you on the tweets.
Yep.
And what I've got over here is I'm looking at what people are saying on the scopes. This is like mission control.
It is like mission control. This is a serious operation.
And we're mobile, so we're a mobile command center. Okay. All right. We got a few people here. All right. So what do people want to ask you, man?
Let's see. I think this is a good question for you. Most exciting pre-IPO company to join as a salesperson.
Really? Most people ask you, like, what kind of underwear do I need to wear if I'm going on an 8-week adventure?
That's one. Am I going to join a circus was one question for me. I would say no, although I am spending time with Cirque du Soleil performers because I want to get my fat ass upside down and doing interesting things. So that is...
Wait, yeah, I heard about this. So yesterday you were...
I was behind the scenes at Cirque du Soleil in LA in the warm-up area, spending time with the athletes and watching them get ready for the performance, which is...
Are they here in town?
They're in town for Curios, the K-U-R-I-O-S. They leave in a couple of days, and then they're headed to Chicago.
Okay.
So I've been doing handstand and hand balancing practice with this amazing guy. Check him out on Instagram. Andriy, with 2 I's, Andriy Bondarenko. He's like the handstand savant of Cirque du Soleil.
Let me ask you a question. How many names do you think are in your brain? How many actual names of individuals?
First and last name.
Yeah, like if I said, look, write out the names of everyone you know, or I'll murder your whole family. And it's got to be over 800 names. Do you think you could write out 800 names?
I do. Yeah.
What about 2,000 names? Do you think you have 2,000 names? I think that too.
Yeah. I think it's fewer than 5,000.
You name drop, not in a name droppy way, but you just drop names.
Yeah.
Because you have this incredible memory for the names of the people that you've interviewed, that you work with, that you
can train
inspired by.
You can train it. There's this guy named Harry Lorraine. He used to do, I'm name dropping again, Lorayne, and he used to appear on Letterman and whatnot, and he would memorize all of the names of the attendees in the audience, where they are sitting.
Really?
He'd leave the room for a couple of minutes, and a few people would move around, and then he would name the people who had moved.
Are you serious? Is that like a clip you can look up on YouTube?
Yeah, you can find on YouTube, sure.
That's super cool. I had no idea.
So that's like 301 hours.
Wait, Siri just kicked in. Hey Siri, sorry about that. If you lost some audio, it's because Siri wanted to. You guys back? All right. So look, I think one of the most interesting things going on in your life is that you've always dabbled around in media. You've always been, obviously you've got multiple New York Times #1 best-selling books. Anytime you guest posted anywhere, it blows up. But you, I think your podcast is blowing me away. So both for its scale and its reach, I think you're up there in the top podcasts in the world right now. But also the tribe you've cultivated there. I think I had this conversation at a dinner with a bunch of kind of fancy internet people recently, and we think you might have the most engaged of the audiences in the world. When you tell them to do something, they do it. And so what it prompts comparisons to is you're kind of becoming the Oprah of audio.
Yeah, it's been a really fun journey to see how long-form audio engages an audience differently. And that's both as a consumer, right? Because I've listened to podcasts, and part of the reason I did my podcast was because I had so much fun being interviewed on, say, Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, etc., which allowed you to get past the sound bites. It allowed you to get past like the Good Morning America surface level and really dig into things that hadn't been heard before. And I think that when you bring people into a conversation and they feel like they're the third person at the table, hanging out, having coffee, drinking wine, whatever it might be, and you keep them interested for 2-3 hours, they really feel like they know you, and in a lot of respects they really do know the people who are talking. And I think it's taking these digital tools and means of distribution that we have and bringing us back all the way to sitting around a fire together. So in a way, it's connecting us in a very direct, sort of auditory way. And I think the other reason the podcasts have really blown up is that it's not a primary activity. So in other words, if you're reading an article, you have to read the article. If you're watching a movie, you have to watch the movie. Podcasts you can do while you're cooking, walking, driving, fill in the blank. But yeah, it's been fun to see the also bought. People who bought this also
dude, the Tim Ferriss effect, are you kidding me? So I mean, that's one of the reasons, so I think there are multiple parallels to Oprah. One is that the incredible quality and breadth of guests that you can attract. I mean, you know, in the beginning, obviously, it was kind of like fellow nerds, and then you'd start, you know, getting into the kettlebell guy or something like that. Like, you branch out into your life hacking stuff. But you fast forward today, I mean, the last few episodes, you landed Jamie Foxx, who was one of the most fascinating episodes of all time. That guy had you like in his studio, playing piano, doing voices. That was nuts.
He's an incredible player,
You had Edward Norton, one of the most accomplished actors of our time. I mean, you've really been killing it in terms of the quality of the guests. But I think combine that, again, the Oprah parallel is that people listen to you partly because it's interesting, but partly because they think they're going to improve their lives, right? I mean, think of how many times Oprah had inspired people to change their nutrition, their exercise, that kind of stuff. And so, and it's funny, when you look at the questions you get, like on Periscope right now, or in Twitter, they're so oriented around people trying to get better. And so many of your questions are around how to improve yourself and the lives of your family and friends and your business and that kind of stuff. And then the last thing is, as you started to allude to, the book stuff is insane. So you ask people on your podcast to mention a few books they like.
That's right.
And sometimes you mention some too. And then those books just sell out. Like they just Amazon has no clue it's coming, and they just get crushed. And you know, when I did my episode with you, I mentioned a book that was out of print.
Lucky.
Yeah, and so it was listed for $999 or something like that, which is like a placeholder on Amazon. But enough people submitted orders for it that they decided to put it back in print. Like the Tim Ferriss effect is amazing.
That was nuts. That was I Am a Verb, or what's the name of the song?
I Seem to Be a Verb.
I Seem to Be a Verb.
And I think in parallel with that, what's really funny is as you were saying, the related items. So you'll suggest a book and a new type of dental floss, and you know, a book,
tangerine tea,
and a new book, and then some MeUndies or something like that. And then what ends up happening is the related items, like customers who bought this also bought this on Amazon, are absolutely hilarious. It's like they bought this book on sit-ups and some Pu'er tea and this powder that if you put it in your crotch, you can travel for 8 weeks without showering, right? Like,
that's stuff. Cornstarch. That's a joke, folks. Don't rub cornstarch on your balls.
I wonder what that would do.
Well,
I had a roommate a long time ago.
Chefs do it if they sweat too much.
I had a roommate in law school who used to powder.
Yeah.
And it was like Gold Bond. He was a Gold Bond guy. And like you'd throw it on, and I felt like there was a Gold Bond cloud that came from his side of the apartment every day.
Was it like a? Did he throw it on like he was like he was decorating beignets, or was it like a dunk in the cereal bowl, or was it?
He didn't squat. There was no dunk and squat. He would throw it on, and this like cloud would result, like kind of like a gymnast approaching the bowl. You know what I mean? Like
right. Yeah. Clapping your hands together with the chalk. I like that.
Yeah. All right. A lot of people have asked here on Periscope and in Twitter, Tim, you're taking a break from investing in tech. What gives?
My break from tech is for a few different reasons. The first was I had lost my love for the game a little bit, and it's not to say it's not a good time to invest. I think there's some great deals out there, but I felt for the type of investing, the dollar amounts I'm using, I was becoming more and more viewed as interchangeable, and that there's a lot of capital, a lot of surplus of fair weather investors and entrepreneurs. And for that reason, there are many founders who are shopping for term sheets, meaning terms of a deal, just looking at optimizing for a highest price. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but what it means is they'd say, well, if you are one of 20 people that we're talking to about participating in this round, and it's closing tomorrow, and we're oversubscribed, but we can squeeze you in for 25K. Yeah. The manufactured emergencies created just a constant state of cortisol in me that I didn't like. Yeah. Number two, I have a policy, for instance, if people come to me and they want me to do a speaking engagement, if they say, we are particularly interested in you for these following reasons, then I'll have the conversation. But if they come to me and they say, we're looking at you, or our client is looking at 10 different people, what's the best price you can offer? I'm like, 0. I'm not going to participate. Right. And I just felt like it was time for me to apply that to investing. And I was also doing less creating. I was doing less writing, less of all of the shenanigans and experiments that got me to where I am. And I felt like it was time to return to basics and go back to the beginning in some respects and start doing that again. But I think it was primarily that I felt like I was being reactive. You've talked about playing defense and offense before. I felt like I was being very reactive. Every morning there were like 30 emergencies in my inbox. People, actually one of the biggest things was not direct pitches from entrepreneurs. Yeah. It was other investors who were too lazy about making intros, so they would do cold intros. Oh God, dude, I hate those. The thoughtless intros drive me crazy. Cold intros when you don't ask someone if you can share their email. Tim, meet Frank, you guys should, Tim, meet Frank, you guys should talk. And then Frank's like, CCing my 17 co-founders. Yeah. What should I do with that? I mean, it's funny. I spend a good part of my day making double opt-in. So I've already asked the other guy, you mind if I make this intro? Really thoughtful intros. And it's something like you can't farm out to somebody else. So even as, you found areas of your business where you can delegate, you can have somebody else come in. I cannot farm out my intros to anybody else on my team because my rule is a helpful subject line that tells right away which two things we're combining. They've already heard they're going to meet each other, but helpful subject line. Then right away, I go in and as I introduce them, full name, title, and what they're, founder of, meet so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And then I add whether or not they're actually a friend of mine or some nexus just right away. So you kind of already have a qualification. Then the next two sentences are just like, they're building this, that it does this, and I think it'd be interesting to you for why, right? And then I say something very complimentary about that person. Like, I look back fondly on my time working with him at Google because he was known for being so candid or getting shit done or something like that. Then I do the next person, like, hey, Dave, meet Frank. Frank is one of the investors I trust most. I think he'd be a perfect, meet Frank, managing partner at whatever fund. Frank is one of the people I trust most. I think he's particularly hallmarked by being hands-on, and his financial insight is fantastic. I'll never forget all the help Frank gave to Uber in its early days or something like that. And then I just say, I hope the two of you can connect. Let me know if I can help. Yeah, that takes time. It does take time, right? But what I've done is I've set them up for success. They each now feel better that each of them has had something flattering said about them. Mm-hmm. And they have context for the intro. They have something that can spark a conversation. And they also know the background context, right? You've indicated how well you know the person and how you know them, right? And even with some mutual intros, if someone's like, Frank meet Bob, Bob meet Frank, or whatever, and they don't provide any of that, the back channel, of course, for people who are busy is going to be, back channel meaning like what we would do behind the scenes is call the other person who made the intro and be like, how well do you know this person? Like 0 to 10, how important is it to you that I actually spent time with this person, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, those are the types of filtering questions that come up. Yeah, it's so important to make those, man. It's so important. So, do you have another question from the audience over there? What's been the number one lesson of 2016 so far for Tim? This is Jeremy Height. Number one lesson of 2016. By the way, I hear we've had a little bit of interruption from time to time. Don't blame Periscope, blame LA. Yeah, LA. I was just at a coffee shop and it was like being in a nuclear bunker. The reception was so bad. The lesson, honestly, has been one that I've tried to teach myself repeatedly or have people help me.
Wait, is there seriously no audio right now? The camera has it, and that has it.
Let's see.
Can you guys hear us? No audio. Yep, I can hear now. I have audio, yeah. All right,
we have audio?
Hey man, this is this is essentially beta technology, this GoPro integration. So this is the first GoPro camera I've ever owned.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. This is the first GoPro camera I've ever had.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Given how much you ski and whatnot.
I love to
and
ski.
that you have kids.
Well, in the earliest days of Periscope, I used to actually just periscope with my camera out there until my fingers froze off. And so I'd just be skiing down the hill like, oh shit. That was super fun. But yeah, I mean, these GoPros, I guess what I love most about video is the interactivity of it with other people. So I would buy like a super waterproof case, put my phone in it, and then take that to the ocean, rather than buy a GoPro. But these things are pretty sweet. I love them.
GoPros are great.
Yeah.
I've used GoPros for everything from the book trailers to the TV show. We would take 13 of these and mount them
Just
on
put them
this
everywhere?
arc, so that you could do like the freeze and rotate shots. We would do those on the cheap with GoPros.
Oh yeah, and then just have somebody fuse them, kind of.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Lesson 2016, just to get that out, is you are enough. Just like figuring out how to burn that into my programming so that I don't constantly feel like I'm operating from this place of not good enough, which is hard for me.
You are enough. That's powerful, man.
Well, there's a book
That
called
could be a good tattoo.
Could be. Where would you get it?
Where would I get the tattoo?
Lower back?
Inner thigh. Inner thigh. If it really means that you're really making a commitment, it goes on that thigh.
So, the point being, there's a book called Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, who's also been on the podcast that I recommend quite a lot. But I think that a lot of what drives people to be achievement-oriented type A personalities is this feeling of never being quite good enough. And I do think there's a place for wanting to constantly improve and continuous improvement,
Sure.
but that can become a handicap in the department of appreciation and actually gratitude for what you have. And it's easy to always be future focused, which produces a lot of anxiety, as opposed to, say, past focus, which produces a lot of depression.
Are you able to ever let go and have a really, really good time and not be kind of dissecting that, like what you're doing? Because sometimes I get the impression that some members of your tribe can't, because they're so inspired by you and obsessed with you, they want to constantly get better. And so, there are many different people who are big followers of yours, but you definitely have some obsessive types. So what have you found that makes it so that you can just enjoy things sometimes and not a better way to do it or something like that?
I think that realizing some activities are appropriate for optimization and others are not intended to be optimized. Like I wouldn't use speed reading for fiction before bed. I wouldn't use speed reading for poetry. I meditate helps. Meditation helps a lot. Using something like Headspace or Calm or any of these tools, I think helps a lot.
Hey dude, we got where we're going.
We are at our destination.
I see like lots of VCs walking
suits.
around. So we're at
East
this
Coasters.
So you realize the day of this conference is literally only VCs and LPs.
I know. I've never actually spoken to an audience of VCs and LPs.
All right, we'll see what it is.
Venture capitalists and limited partners.
Woohoo! All right, man. Thanks for joining, everybody. Appreciate it. Oh wait, I gotta swipe to unlock the screen.